Sync test. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Should that be the start of the episode of the behind the scenes?
Actually, yeah, I kind of like that. So I guess we're started now.
No. So it would be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, clap, and then the intro song would start, and then we're in it.
Oh, I see.
What if it rained food? What if Earth was a cube? What if we had 9 lives? What if bits could fly? It's absurd. If money grew on trees, if we didn't have knees, if we walked through life slightly magnetical, it's absurd. Absurd hypotheticals.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first behind-the-scene episodes of Absurd Hypotheticals. As you should know, I am your host, Marcus Lehner, and I am joined here by my buddies Chris and Ben. Say hi.
I'm your buddy, Chris. I almost said Ben.
Oh, I am actually Ben, not Chris.
I'm a little confused about which one of you is which.
You forget who is who?
Yeah, now that I was pretty sure when you both talked, but now that you said you are who you are, I'm much more confused.
I am Chris. Does that clear it up?
Ben. There we go. That's more in our standard format.
Yeah, so what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a couple different things about how we make the show, how we've been doing the show, other stuff.
Talk about some questions we've done recently that we just, have some further thoughts on and whatnot.
And going forward, I mean, this episode is free for everyone, but going forward, it will be for only patrons of our Patreon.
Yes.
Yes, everyone, please go to our Patreon page. Support the show with sweet, sweet dollars. The only support that financially matters.
Yeah, that is accurate.
If you don't want to give us money, though, one of the best things you can do is just tell people about our awesome show. Like, if you enjoy our show and you don't want to give us money because it sounds like we're desperate for it, just let other people know that the show is good and they can listen, and then they can decide whether they want to give us money or not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell other people to give us money.
And if everyone decides not to give us money and it chains and they each tell 3 people, eventually there's going to be like 100,000 people and maybe one of them will give us $1.
Or it'll just be the whole world talking about giving us money and not actually giving us money.
Yeah, the entire world will not give us money. Much like today, but they'll all be listening too. So,
But I think you can make money off that. I think you could do it.
Probably.
If you have the whole world's ear, you can make money.
I certainly hope so.
But yeah, if you go onto our Patreon, which you already, well, not for this episode, but if you want to hear future episodes like this because you like this one, these episodes are on the $5 tier, the hypotheticalist tier, for $5 a month. But if you don't want to give that much, we appreciate any donation amount, and at $3 and higher, you get to vote on a whole bunch of things that are going to affect the show, like what questions we answer, disputes we have, and any other decisions that we have for the show going forward that we can put out to the public. So that's going to be pretty sweet, and I can't wait to see you there. So I guess behind the scenes, our very first thing is let's talk about our format change, guys. Why we decided to switch from 2 questions to 1 and what that is all about.
Man, we argued about this for a while.
Yeah, we did.
We really did.
I was on the fence, and then I started to lean towards 1 question a week.
It was actually really, really fun. Well, not fun, but like it was amusing that it was very split. Where I was in the camp of going to 1 question. Marcus was in the camp of not going, and Chris was in the middle. But we didn't have we started out like at an average at the beginning of the discussion.
Right.
Well, generally anything I ever argue about, Chris just plays devil's advocate and lands on the other side. But
I could say the same thing about you. So
yeah, so I do want to talk about it because it was tough for me to come around to doing 1 question a week because I was worried that I'm like, man, we're losing out we're losing half our content.
Mm-hmm.
But we just did the first one, and it's not true. So
yeah, which you've probably already listened to, the We Can't Cross Borders one.
Yeah, and which we are recording this immediately after doing that, so we are a little brain drained from having already recorded. So
brain drain.
That's gonna lead to some fun moments, I'm sure.
Yeah, but more in more seriousness. So we kind of just did we're looking at the pros and cons of each of the formats. So probably I think the biggest pro is that it makes the show more digestible.
Mm-hmm.
As we've been doing it longer and longer, we've been getting better and better at going, having meatier answers and really getting to some entertaining bits about these questions. And we found we've been regularly landing above an hour on our episode length, which I think is a little bit longer than we wanted.
Yeah, I think in the beginning for the first episodes, we were we made it 2 questions an episode because we weren't sure if we could make it as long as it could be.
Right.
Exactly. And I've found myself, especially in the last dozen questions or so, that I would actually just have things written down that I thought were entertaining, but have to cut them just for time's sake to keep the podcast as a whole moving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think taking that pressure off and letting us be more natural in our questions is going to be a positive. Positive number 2, not everyone cares about every question, and it lets you kind of pick the episodes that you want that interest you. If there's a cool episode about space and the other half is about dumb superhero fights, and you don't care about dumb superhero fights or vice versa, we're not going to make you listen to the half hour of the other one to get the other half.
Or to like awkwardly click into the time thing to find the question you want.
Yeah.
Right.
And get really confused when we somehow reference something from the first half of the episode in the second half. Things like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely the positive. I think it makes it better to listen to, more enjoyable. The negative is too, we do have one less question. To help combat that, I did put in we did add the would you rather section, so we have another hypothetical scenario to talk about. That's a little bit less, a little less concrete, I guess.
It's more bite size.
Yeah, more bite-sized, fun little thing.
And it feels a lot. It feels a lot like one of our like lightning round questions. It's that same sort of like quick fire. We don't really. I mean, as probably came through when we did the one in the Borders episode. We don't like super prepare for it. We think about it like a little bit, but we don't like go super in depth on it. We kind of it's a little more off the cuff, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. That's mostly the reason why we've changed the format, and we hope you guys enjoy it more because of it. We did it to improve the show, not because we're lazy. That was my thing. That is what we spent most of the time arguing about, was trying to figure out if we were being lazy or trying to actually improve the show.
Yeah. Although it does bear mentioning as well that it is literally less work for us, which we are busy people. Like Marcus particularly has like so much shit going on right now. And it is, as we have gotten more in-depth answers on our questions, it is a lot of research we wind up doing, even though it doesn't always necessarily feel like that probably. It does actually take a lot of time to prep this kind of stuff. And, I have a wedding and honeymoon coming up at the end of this year. Things like that, we had, when we did our hiatus, part of the issue is that it became really hard to maintain a backlog.
Yeah. We were like always playing catch up.
Yeah, because it's when you're doing, an hour and a half to 2 hour recording every week, it's a lot harder to schedule that.
It takes away about 2 weeknights to do the one for the prep, one for the recording.
Exactly.
And then for whoever's editing at the time, usually. Chris, thank you, Chris. I love you.
Yes, yeah. Thanks
now
so
you
much
appreciate what I do. Because Marcus took over for me when I broke my ankle.
Yeah, I already appreciate it because back in our Pixel Playground days, me and Chris's first YouTube channel where we did Let's Plays, we split the editing 50-50, and eventually, I forget why you ended up taking over. Maybe just because I sucked and was bad. And
I don't remember.
In a timely fashion, but I struggle with it. I struggle with editing just personality wise. I do find it hard to listen to myself for a long time, which kind of sounds weird coming from someone who does a podcast.
Well, how often do you listen to our episodes?
I'm not going to put a number on that.
Actually,
that's super behind the scenes.
That is a fun question to ask. Who is going to say how many of our episodes they have listened fully to?
Well, I've listened to all of them because I edit them.
Okay, fair enough. That's not exactly fair. All right. How many of the ones that you weren't editing did you listen to?
I guess I didn't. I mean, I listened to parts of the ones that Marcus edited. I didn't listen to the whole thing. Yeah,
I think I've listened to probably 5 or 6 complete ones, and then bits of a decent number of them.
Yeah, I did it definitely more in the beginning. So I think I listened to the first 4 or 5, and then I try to do one every 6 to 8 episodes. I try to listen to one.
That's like a quality check. Yeah, definitely.
But there have definitely been some gaps. For example, when we had our in between bit was a music break.
Oh yeah,
and I assumed it was going to be a sting, like a little jingle, and it was kind of be like a little jingle that we had. And then I listened to an episode, and it was like a 2.5 minute YouTube song. I'm like, Chris, what the fuck?
I was like, I told you guys.
Yeah, I don't think either of us quite expected that. We've had some growing pains as the show has gone on, but I think we're in a better place now.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the changes we've made to the show, I think, have improved the show, and made it something that we can keep doing.
It also gives us more time so that we can do this behind the scenes episode every month.
Yes, yeah.
We probably wouldn't be able to do this if we kept the old format.
That's true too.
Obviously, not just patrons, but also patrons or non-patrons, whoever's listening to this. If you have anything that you can think of that you think would improve the show, just drop us a line, because obviously we just want to make this as, good as it can be. So if you have any ideas that you think would improve the show, let us know. Definitely.
And if you're a patron and you want something that just goes to patrons, let us know. Like, oh yeah, only you get this sexy new thing that you suggested.
Go. Yeah.
Draw the harder line between the pay to play and the freebie people.
There you go.
Yeah. So one last thing here in this bit. I don't have names for all the bits that we do yet. It's just called Topic 1, and I'm not saying that.
It's also fun because there's been multiple subtopics in Topic 1 that aren't really related to each other entirely. We kind of just arbitrarily
Who made this like outline here?
So looking at it, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same outline as our main show outline,
It
just
is.
with different things.
I changed the headers to Topic 1, Topic 2, Topic 3.
That's incredible.
This new thing I'm very excited about because it's going to be a very cool thing I have to do nothing for. Chris, being successful in other creative endeavors, cough cough, his awesome books, go find them on Amazon, is generously using part of his proceeds to get our show a new animated intro.
Yeah, because we have we post our videos on YouTube too, or our show on YouTube, and right now it's just a picture of our logo, which is really boring. But I wanted to make that a little more interesting, so I hired an animator to make like a cool intro to go along with our theme song. And I don't know exactly when it's going to be ready. I think it'll be ready like around when this episode comes out. I don't think it'll be out just yet, but like within the next week.
Yeah, probably sometime in May, I'd imagine.
I'm very excited for it because I just was able to imagine our intro song with like little animations of all the things that is being sung. And
yeah,
it's amazing.
like the lyrics for the song just beg to be animated. So.
Right, yeah, seriously.
What if it rained food? What if Earth was a cube? What if we had 9 lives? What if pigs could fly? It's absurd.
Gonna see how much of it you sing.
It gets stuck in my head a lot.
It really
That's
does.
a good sign for it.
So yes, that's coming. So that'll be fun.
It's also a gateway into us doing actual video stuff, which is going to be a slippery slope. Anywho, we've been a little bit behind the scenes, but we're going to have one focus topic for each of these behind the scenes episodes where we get a little bit more in depth on a part of actually creating the show. And for our very first one, we're going to talk about the main core concept, which is how do we pick our questions that we do? So first and foremost, what we have is we have a big old Google spreadsheet that we share online.
Yeah. Also, we definitely, our show is like entirely powered by Google Docs.
Pretty
It's
much.
actually kind of hilarious, and just Google Drive in general, because like oh god, Google just turned on my phone.
It hears you. It's listening. Don't say anything bad.
Okay, Google.
Yeah. We share our show audio on Google Drive. We have our like structure that we share to like, say who's going when and doing all that. That's in Google Docs. Our questions document is a Google Sheet. I personally do my notes.
Google Hangouts chat.
Oh yeah, Google Hangouts is our chat where we mostly communicate with each other. I do my notes in Google Docs. You guys do that too?
Yeah, I do
I
too.
do also.
Yep. So pretty much Google Docs is what sort of, greases the wheel of this whole endeavor. So
We gotta get working on that sponsorship.
seriously, yeah.
But yeah, so what does our Google Sheet look like? So our very first tab, and the important one, I think, is the candidates question tab.
Which can get pretty giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we're online. We're on line 8.
Well, yeah, this is the smallest it's ever been because we just did a giant purge.
Oh yeah, we did.
Right. So basically, because we have the shared Google Doc that's available online, whenever we think of any type of hypothetical question, just in our daily lives, we'll hop on and add it to the list.
Regardless of how dumb it is.
Yes, that is an important criteria. It is a brainstorm list and should not be judged.
I am really bad at adding questions that I do not add as many questions.
Ben, have you
by
added a
far.
question to this
I've
before?
added
Do you know
like
how it works?
I've added like
You need a
5
little-
questions to it. That's it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super bad at it. I don't think to do it. I need to get better about it.
I think I add like me and Chris. Obviously me and Chris are then about 50-50. I feel like I add just random questions sporadically, And then Chris will just add like 6 of the same type of question all in a row.
Yeah.
He just follows one train of thought going down.
I'm like, oh, that's a good premise for a question. And we can make that an ongoing question.
So that's the column A is the actual questions. And then what we have is we have a spot for each of us to vote on it. So we'll put either a little M or a little L, whether we think it's worthy of being a main question or if we think it's just a quick little lightning round question.
And most things, like, it has to be really bad not to be a lightning round question.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because we can cover pretty much anything in a lightning round question.
But we'll cover a couple ones that have not made it even to the lightning round question in a bit.
So there's also a weird category of things where we can't, the main reason we wind up projecting questions a lot of the time is just that we can't think of like 3 good answers for it.
Yeah, it has to have 3 answers because there's 3 of us and we need a separate answer.
And there are this weird category of questions that I can't think of a good example of one right now. But it's a question where it's not something where we can get 3 good answers out of it, but it's also something where we want to actually do research on it, and we couldn't really like do it, off the dome in a lightning round.
Yeah.
Here's one that looks like it's split. Is what if all cotton disappeared? What if all cotton turned into cotton candy?
Oh yeah.
Where there's like, you can talk about clothes. You can talk about there being a lot of cotton candy around, but those are both kind of stretches for a full answer. And then like there's got to be a third one.
Yeah.
So this one's kind of in that weird limbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, once the question has gotten 3 votes, we have our super high tech column that highlights it when it has 3 votes, so that we can see it easily. And that the column is titled, "Hey Ben, make a thing here that says we all want to do it."
That's right. That's right. And then
in all capital letters.
When we all put something in, it then says "did a thing" in the column and turns it green.
It doesn't always work, though.
It doesn't always work. Okay.
It doesn't always work. And I think it took about an hour for you to figure out the syntax.
In my defense, as a person who like actually writes code for a living, I feel like I need to defend myself here. The syntax for the Google like Sheets like logical operators is really fucking stupid. And it took me a long time to figure out how they worked. Like, okay, I'm gonna bitch for a second here. If you have a thing where you want to say like if one thing and something else, don't make all of those functions. Just let you use the fucking word and. All right. Anyway, sorry, that was my tiny divergence there.
So from the main page, if it gets the votes, we then move it appropriately to our main questions tab, where we have kind of this is our schedule where we have all our different questions in, what dates are going to be in, and then next to that on the main question spreadsheet, we actually have our quote unquote one words, where we don't share our answers with each other ahead of time, but we do share our topics.
And we didn't do that from the beginning. Like the first few episodes, we didn't say anything at all about what our answers were, and we started to have like overlap with our answers.
We had some collisions. There was one really bad one where Marcus did like, and I think it was after this one that we started doing one words. Marcus did like 80% of my answer, and I had to just like on the fly like try to think of something else to do. I don't remember what question it was.
Yeah, I remember that happening though for you.
Yeah, it was something to do with the ocean. It was like, what if
we do a lot of ocean questions?
Yeah, we do a lot.
Yeah, that's not going to narrow it down at all.
Right, seriously, it was. All I remember is I remember talking about making mixed drinks out of the ocean. And I can't remember why. Oh, what if the ocean was carbonated? That's what it was. What if the ocean was carbonated? And I just pivoted into like good things about the ocean being carbonated and couldn't think of any in the like.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode.
10 minutes while Marcus was doing his answer.
Oh yeah, because I was saying all the bad things, so I just took away all your gas.
Because mine was like entirely about like the fact all the fish would die and everything, and you did that as like part of yours, and I was like, well, shit.
Yeah, so now we warn each other about the topics we're gonna
exactly
cover.
We give each other,
but
it's not
like a hey, I'm covering this, and this.
Yeah,
right. It's literally like like one word or 2 words.
Yeah, it's like we did the question, what if Earth was a cube? We had mine was survival, Chris's was sunlight, and Ben's was gravity.
Yeah, and we don't go into any detail at all. But
yeah, so if I knew if I was getting anything gravity related, if I was going to do like a deep dive on something, I would be like, hey Ben.
Yeah, I think we've done that a couple times where like someone would have said a one word and we'll have an idea and we'll like usually like in a direct chat to the other person be like, hey, are you going to talk about, and give like a slightly more detailed thing just to make sure we don't.
Or hey, have you seen this, or does this interfere with what you're doing?
Yes, yeah, exactly, stuff like that.
It's more important to keep the show interesting than to keep it secret from each other, but we try to keep it as secret as we can.
Right, because we like having the reaction
Authentic
moment.
reaction.
Yeah.
And plus, I come here to learn. Like, I like hearing your guys' answers.
That is
like,
also true, yeah.
Yeah.
I like to see what crazy shit you guys came up
I've
with.
learned so many random fucking pieces of information from this show. I feel like I'm going to wind up swearing more on these behind-the-scenes episodes, which is fun.
Behind the scenes, Ben is a curseaholic.
I curse more than I probably should. It's actually a very real problem. But yeah, so... Yeah, we have the main questions and lightning round questions tabs. That's kind of it, yeah. I guess the other thing with the main questions tab, when we know we have like for example, you know, we have a Mother's Day episode coming up, I guess next Monday after this is coming out. And like we will usually plot out, you know, holidays and things like that we want to address with like a particular question. Or like, you know, we did one for like the World Series starting. We talked about something for baseball related, things like that.
What's funny is the amount of times where we have the holiday on the list and then we just can't think of a question for the holiday, so we just skip it. We just ignore that holiday or decide that holiday is not as important.
I mean, I think that's fine. That's fine a lot of the times. Like the ones we definitely want to hit are like, you know, Christmas.
The big ones, yeah.
Yeah.
We've hit the major ones.
Yeah, we hit the major ones.
We skipped Easter and are hitting Mother's Day. We can't really talk too much.
I mean, how do we do an Easter one that's not deeply uncomfortable and religious?
Yeah, what's an Easter question gonna be?
You could do like, what if bunnies laid eggs? Fuck, why don't we just do what if bunnies laid eggs?
Man, that's a pretty easy one. That feels like more of a lightning round question though, and this is what we're talking about. This is the process in action right here.
The process in action is me proposing a very fun question, then both of you shooting it down like crazy people.
I feel like I am definitely like way harsher on which questions I like deign to give my approval to than you guys, I think. I am always the one who's like, yeah, I don't know, guys.
Most of the questions that, or not most, but a lot of the questions that Marcus posts in the candidates tab, I'm just like, what does that mean at all? Like, I have no idea what that means.
Actually, one of those, we want to talk about the New Year's resolution right now.
Yeah, so why don't we take that as our segue into our middle bit where we talk about what questions we reject. So I have three examples here about, and I think it's three good examples of questions we will reject. One is one we don't know how to make work, or my co-hosts do not understand.
Okay, so, I get it. And also, I'm pretty sure it's just a Foxtrot reference.
What? I don't even know that.
The comic strip Foxtrot? They definitely made this joke back in like the early 2000s at one point, and I distinctly remember
apparently
it for some reason.
It's not, because he doesn't know what that is, so...
Well then.
Well, this is our behind the scenes episode, so I'm gonna behind the scenes Google Foxtrot.
You have definitely seen Foxtrot at some point.
I know, I'm aware of what Foxtrot is.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen the
New Year's resolution joke?
Yeah, let's see.
What
are you searching? Just Foxtrot New Year's?
Foxtrot New Year's resolution should get there. I'm just doing that too.
Oh, I see it. Okay. I'm not going to read the whole comic. I feel like that's bad audio.
I mean, yeah, we're good.
It's also not that funny.
It's not. No, I mean, I just remember. Anyway, go on. Let's actually say the question we're talking about instead of just like fucking around for...
Yeah, we haven't actually said the question.
Oh, that would make this whole conversation more sense. Anyhow, the question is, what if the New Year's resolution was 480p? Like a computer resolution.
Now, I understand the joke you're making. I don't understand...
It's just a joke. It's just a joke.
No. So here's my thing. Here's why I'm sad this is in the rejected questions column. What if the universe's resolution was only 480p? So things weren't more detailed than that. I don't know what it means for physics on a molecular scale, but like if you looked, everything you saw was like a grainy internet video.
So people see in 480p?
Yeah.
Only on New Year's though.
Well, for 1 year.
I interpret it more as like the resolution for the year is 480p.
Okay.
Because like a New Year's resolution is just for New Year's Day. It's for the whole year.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that would mean for physics. I mean, it would just be the visual thing, right?
I guess it was just seeing is a better way to do it.
Yeah. I don't know I don't think it actually does anything though. I think it's just I legitimately thought you were just making a joke and that was it.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I see a lot of your questions, and I'm just like, he just put that down so he could make that pun.
Well, puns that turn into interesting hypotheticals I do enjoy.
In Marcus's defense, the next one that we have on this rejected questions list is one that I'm pretty sure you put down, which was just, and I quote, "What about a dog question? What if dogs played poker?"
Are you saying that I put that down? I think Marcus put that down.
That was also me.
Oh, it was? I thought it was Chris. Okay, never mind. I'm just going to put Marcus fully on blast this time.
These are going to all be me, I think. I put a lot of I brainstorm the most bad stuff.
Yeah, actually, the 3 questions we have on here are all Marcus, so...
Hey.
So this one was kind of this one obviously was kind of a placeholder. So
Right.
we were trying to brainstorm, or at least I was trying to brainstorm that day, about different general topics that we hadn't covered yet. And we hadn't have a question about dogs yet. And so I was like, what if we had a dog question? And I couldn't think of one. So I put, what if dogs played poker? And I'm like, I put it down under the impression that it needs to be better, but we haven't come up with anything better yet.
Nope.
So send us a dog question. Please, for fuck's sake, send us a dog's question.
We like dogs. We like to talk about them.
It is surprising that we haven't done a dog question yet, considering how many animals we've covered.
The problem is we've already pretty much perfectly trained dogs, and that's kind of our go-to.
I guess so.
So this next one is one that ends up on the list sometimes, and is the one I'm most asked about on the outside. Is how would you spend, like, honestly, how would you spend $1 billion in a day is a question that's rejected. But like just this general question of, what if you had $1 million?
I think the reason this is rejected is just because it's too open-ended.
Yeah, I don't
think it's rejected because it's too open-ended. I think it's just rejected because it's not a problem we can solve. It's not particularly interesting to, like, it's just straight wish fulfillment.
Right. I mean, there's no limitations. You just literally do anything.
Yeah. And I was like trying to do it, when I put this one, I was trying to do it in a way that was kind of a problem to solve, where I was like, you have to spend $1 billion in a day. Like, would it be difficult to spend that much money?
What if you have to spend
Yeah, what if you have to spend $1 billion? What's expensive enough for you to spend it on? But I don't even know if that's a real question. It could just be like, I just buy 15 diamonds and I'm done. And I go home.
Yeah. And like, on Chris's point, it being open-ended, this is definitely one of those things where I definitely campaign on this point a lot with questions that get brought up. I feel like when we have super open-ended ones, it leads to less interesting answers. Like, I feel like, I guess, the answers that we come up with are sort of out of the wheelhouse of the show. I feel like it's more interesting when we have these, like, constraints or coming up with these, weird ways to get around them for stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, like, basically just us, like, storytelling.
Oh, yeah. Restrictions definitely build creativity.
Yeah.
But I do like ones where it's a little bit more general. I guess we'll talk about it in a second. Is like the like, what if you had a pet dinosaur?
Yes.
Or what if you could perfectly control whatever?
Yeah.
Where it's like a weird power or ability that you get that you can find interesting ways to use.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those examples are like based on a specific thing that you can like go down a rabbit hole on instead of just like doing anything.
Exactly. And plus, like, the real answers for that are not super interesting. Like, if you really had $1 billion and really thought about it, you would, like, invest it in some, like, portfolio or something, and you would just...
Right.
$1 billion?
I'd put it in a bank and live off the interest.
I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably just I don't know, just buy a house and then sit there and not work.
Right? Like, I just wouldn't spend it. I would just quit my job and just do this podcast full time.
Yeah. That actually reminds me. So when you say that, so I'm going to segue briefly into a minor league related sports story. So
the sports guy.
Yeah, I'm the sports guy. I don't know if you guys listeners have picked up on this, but I am hands down.
We've said it multiple times.
Yeah, the sportsiest one of the group.
I do love when we do sports questions because Ben, you are super into the sports, and me and Chris watch none of the sports.
Yeah,
I love hearing Marcus talk about sports because you always use the wrong terms.
I always die inside a little bit when Marcus does the sports answers.
Are you talking about the ones I intentionally say wrong because I enjoy that, or the ones where I like just am wrong?
I'm pretty sure they weren't intentional.
More the unintentional ones. They're definitely there. But yeah, so Joe Flacco, who was the quarterback for the Ravens and is now the quarterback for the Broncos, he got a big deal after they won the Super Bowl. And there's this great quote from him where someone asked him what he was going to do with the money. And his exact response was like, I don't know, look at it, I guess. And I'm pretty sure, it wasn't him. Someone definitely went to like Chick-fil-A for their first meal after they got a big contract and just bought like a value meal or something, which, I mean, I respect, honestly.
No, I'm super in that camp. Like, I know if I got a whole bunch of money, I would just not change my habits.
Oh yeah, no, whatsoever.
I'd probably buy an expensive dinner for the first night and then go back to normal.
Yeah, like you can splurge a little, but like even like going out for an expensive dinner, like I wouldn't even go to like the most expensive restaurant in Boston. I'd go to like the nicer place I happen to go to sometimes.
I think it would actually be for me the biggest thing. I would like pimp the fuck out of my kitchen.
Oh yeah. House renovations are different. That's a different category.
Yeah. Because also, I guess, yeah, other thing. I really like cooking, so...
I'd probably get a really, really nice computer.
See, I don't even know if I do that. I don't actually use my computer for anything aside from like recording this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know I don't even know if I would buy, if I won $1 million, I don't know if I would buy a new computer. the hassle of like starting a new computer from scratch would not even be worth me getting a faster one.
You know?
Judging on how long it took for you to get rid of your old computer that died on me while we were trying to record.
I want that back, by the way.
Okay, you can have it back. I still have it.
We'll go into that story when we do another behind the scenes about our equipment, I guess.
Yeah.
But why don't we jump into the because we're out of rejected questions now. Why don't we jump into the not rejected questions that we covered this month? So the plan here is kind of just to go through, maybe remind them of our answers a little bit, but just anything that you thought of or bothered you about. What are we doing here?
I think we're just discussing like
it's a look back on the questions of the month.
Yeah.
That's what it is. A look back is a good way to put it.
A look back, yeah. But that involves calling each other out. It'll depend on the question.
Yeah, we have certain opinions on different things, like different answers that people gave.
Yeah.
Specifically on the fight questions.
The fight questions.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one I have here on the list. These aren't in necessarily any particular order. What if nothing could dissolve in water? Was the question. I covered the ocean. Chris, you did some swimming pool stuff, and Ben, you did what killed all the animals and humans.
Yeah. I killed everyone.
Ben tends to do that.
Yeah.
The funny thing with this question was, like, that was the obvious answer that everyone was thinking when he first read that question.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to kill everyone. I'm going to try to do something else.
And I thought about that for a minute, but you guys didn't do it, and I was like, well, we have to talk about this.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, I didn't have time to go over how nothing dissolving in water kills all the animals because it stops all bodily processes, because I was on a fucking quest to find out what happened to lightning strikes at the ocean.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Did you ever, I know you sent an email to Randall Monroe, right? The guy who does XKCD?
Yeah, because he does, part of the inspiration of the show was his book, What If?
Yeah.
Which literally has the name of our show in the subtitle of the book.
It does. It does, actually.
Which we found out only after we started the show and Googled ourselves.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so this is one of the questions where I was just very committed to finding out making sure I was correct. Because my answer that I came to didn't make much sense to me, but it was the best I could find out. So I talked to our friend Lauren, who's an electrical engineer.
Wait, hold on.
Not electrical, she's
Chemical.
She's chemical, but she knew a lot about the dissolving.
Yeah.
The dissolving aspects and the conducting electricity and stuff. So she had a lot of base knowledge on that. And then I asked you, Ben, about the electrical stuff. You didn't know shit.
Hey, okay, in my defense,
about?
I haven't done any electrical engineering. I never had an electrical engineering job, and I have not thought about that stuff since I graduated, 5 years ago? Jesus. Yeah, 5 years ago. So, in my defense.
I think I spent a good, 6 hours of research over a course of 3 days, maybe more, trying to figure out exactly how lightning works, which is more complicated than you'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
And then how pure water works, which is different, which is really hard to find out because every water has a little bit of shit dissolved in it. But I had to remove that property because it totally changes how it interacts with lightning.
Yeah.
And I think my conclusion of that lightning being able to charge the ocean and strike, and then there's a floating charge that drifts through the ocean and will electrocute anything that's a conductor that hits it, is the correct answer, but it's so wild to me that would happen.
It makes sense to me.
But then it would actually happen like that, with the right physics? It's wild.
There are a lot of questions that are just hard to research just because the situation is hypothetical and it never happens. So you can't search what would happen if that happened. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, we have to get into some sort of uncharted physics waters, literally sometimes, reasonably often actually, which can be tricky.
Reasonably, yeah. Also, how did you cover swimming pools, Chris? The smallest.
That was hilarious.
I was like, are you kidding? You're just going to talk about pool filters for 10 minutes?
I knew that you wanted to do oceans, and I knew Ben was going to do killing things. I didn't, what else? What other water stuff is there?
The world, the biography of the world is not ocean, humans, and swimming pools. I mean, I don't know exactly what else you would have covered, but I was just
I thought about doing, drinks, but it ended up just being super uninteresting. It'd just be you drink water and that's it. You don't drink soft drinks or anything.
I did really there was a moment when you were explaining what a sand filter
the sand
was.
filters.
Oh yeah.
And you were like, Yeah, so there's this thing called a sand filter, and it's got these particles, and you're like gonna explain something different, like
I was gonna explain exactly like how the sand was configured in the filter because I didn't know exactly how I wanted to word it, so I paused. And then,
right, and so he paused at particles, and I thought he was about to explain what sand was.
Yeah.
So I called him out on it, and then it was like, and I didn't find out until after the episode that Chris meant to talk about the configuration of it.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But speaking about other people doing research for us, I want to go to the next one, which was, what if you had a pet dinosaur?
There's so many cool dinosaurs.
There's so many cool fucking dinosaurs. But I just really love that my question was, because I covered the Quetzalcoatlus, which is a type of pterodactyl. I'm like, could you fly on a pterodactyl? Expecting to spend the next couple hours doing like aerodynamic calculations, I guess, and lift and forces and things. And there was just a blog, just pterosaur.net, that just like a bunch of scientists deep dived on it and did all the math for me. And I'm like, hell yeah.
I mean,
Every once in a while we get a question like that.
It really helps that the people who go into like researching dinosaurs are just like, obviously, really into dinosaurs. And a lot of their questions about dinosaurs are the same ones that we have when we were, 12 years old. So
I will say that I started my research with this question by just searching weirdest dinosaurs, and I saw some pretty doofy looking dinosaurs.
I searched for coolest dinosaurs.
I searched for crack.com top dinosaurs.
There you go.
Because I don't know if any of you guys are ever on crack.com fairly often, but they do, like, their format is list articles.
Mm-hmm.
But what I like about them is they're a straight comedy site, but what they do is they cite and source everything.
Oh, yeah.
So they make a claim about this dopey ass, tentacle fingered dinosaur. They'll link you a research paper where you can go actually look it up and be like, is that a real thing? And it's like, yeah, it's a real thing. So they're actually also kind of similar to our show.
Yeah, actually.
I guess if our show was in BuzzFeed form, we'd be crack.com.
Right.
I think we all want to start with the Brontosaurus of some sort.
I knew that I wanted to try to find like a not mainstream dinosaur.
That's why I decided to. But I definitely did go down the Brontosaurus path with Dreadnoughtus, which is basically just like a bigger, cooler named Brontosaurus.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was gonna do Brontosaurus until I found out Ben's was a Brontosaurus. And then I wasn't sure if you were on Brontosaurus train at any point, Chris.
I think I searched for like the biggest dinosaur, and the biggest dinosaur was a Brontosaurus type dinosaur.
Yeah.
I forget what it was.
I saw it at one point during my research because it was also one of the whatever that like type of dinosaur was.
I think the neck to body ratio was comical.
Yes,
that's what I remember about it.
I remember you shared that bit, and it was hilarious.
So now everyone's got to fucking strap the fuck in, because now we're going over to revisit our superhero fight episode.
There were 2 of them this month.
Yeah, we did 2 fights.
2 fight episodes, and boy, do we argue about these after the fact.
Oh, we always
Mostly
do.
Me and Marcus. Ben kind of just like stands and watches.
Well, the problem with these fights is like I'm always torn for how much I want my character to win and how much I don't want our podcast to devolve into like, nuh-uh, my guy would use to counter that with this, nuh-uh.
Right.
Because we do have to stop and make a determination about how a certain thing would go just to move forward.
Right.
Because I can just say my arbitrary power does this, and you can say your arbitrary power does that, and we would just disagree.
How do we wind up going always towards the like % chance of victory thing? Because that kind of just became a standard, and I don't remember why we started doing that.
I think that's something that just naturally happened in the first fight.
Yeah, and we just always do it.
Well, I think we're trying to determine I think I remember being stuck in a position where we're trying to determine an exact winner,
and we
were just arguing about. I think it was the fast food one where we started it. Maybe before that.
No, our first one was
it was cereal mascots.
Yeah, with Lucky Charms, Captain Crunch, and
was that the first one?
What was the third one? Count Chocula.
Yeah. So that was the one, and we were talking about. I think it was like, yeah, Lucky Con just wins, and then we're like, well, maybe not. Maybe X, Y, and Z happen, or maybe this and that happens.
It was because I brought up that there was like a 50% chance that he just like is a fucking moron, and
yeah, because Lucky had all the marshmallow powers, which half of them were like stopping time, which made him a little bit overpowered in a fight setting.
He would either like stop time or make a bicycle to drive away on. Like, so I think I brought up the 50% chance that he would just do something useless, And then from there, we went on to more exact percentages.
Yeah, which I think is a good way. I think latching onto that was a good way to resolve the fights without us arguing for an extra half an hour.
Yeah, otherwise we would have just been going in circles,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, because otherwise we would end the episode like, well, I think I would win. No, I think I would win. I think I would win.
Right.
And we don't have enough patrons to vote on who actually wins who should have won the fight yet, so it would have stayed unresolved. But specifically this one, we did our superhero fight episode where we go onto the superhero wiki and pick random powers.
It's so much fun every single time.
Yeah, I loved doing it, but it's such a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
This website is the trash of the internet.
It really is. There are so many. And like the best thing too, my favorite thing about that website is that there are, because there's a wiki and it's done just by like, random ass people, there are pages where someone has like painstakingly put in all these different instances of a power and like very carefully drawn it out and everything. And there's ones where it's like water manipulation, power to manipulate water, and that's the end.
Right? Yeah, so like those powers are so hard to do because it's just like you can do things with water manipulation, but it's hard to draw the
So vague.
Yeah.
the line of like how good your power is without some guy on the internet saying this power does X or this power is limited by this or this power can do this or like these feats.
Or like in
Right.
this specific question, like I had dark fire and Ben had spirit fire.
Yeah, the spirit fire or soul fire or whatever. And it was just like
Like which
so
one's stronger?
annoyingly vague.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that one because I made my superhero persona just Barack Obama.
Yeah.
That's an awkward position.
Yeah, and I won't say it wasn't an 11th hour move of me trying to get a character going. But I was like, is this just dumb what I'm doing? Like, I was like very worried about how you guys would react to me picking Barack Obama as my superhero.
Is this just dumb what I'm doing? The absurd hypothetical story.
Yeah, that's accurate. But this one especially, I was just like,
No,
I don't know
yeah.
if this is going to hit at all.
I mean, this is the one.
I was fine with you using Barack Obama. I did take issue to using
The bear thing.
the bear thing, where you used one of your powers to control bears, even though you don't. So the power that you had was to manipulate emotions with weather, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
something like that.
So you could make them angry. So you said you were going to make a bunch of bears angry and that they were going to fight for you. First of all, I don't think there would be a zoo full of bears.
We did say it was Bear Week at the Central Park Zoo.
Well, we started to talk about what animals would be at the zoo, and then we made a capoeira pun.
Yeah.
Because I want to do the dance fighting capoeira. And then I was like, that's amazing. Let's just say for the fun of this that it's all bears. And I'm not sure, maybe you missed that as we said it, or
Yeah,
if you didn't agree with it.
We did do an Oops All Bears setup in Marcus's defense.
But then second of all, you wouldn't even have control of them. There'd just be angry bears around you.
That is a legitimate question, or a legitimate concern.
Yeah, but, we were having an army fight, and Ben had an army, and I wanted an army, and there'd be armies fighting. Nah, I guess I didn't draw the line very good there of thought control. It's fine.
We're all good.
In retrospect, I regret my bear army decision.
Capobara is a grade A pun, though.
Oh yeah, that was made it all work. That all brought it all around.
Yeah.
So that was that one. And then the next fight we did is which cartoon character would win in a fight between the Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, and Dexter.
You were very stubborn about the Powerpuff Girls.
No, I think he was right. I
think Samurai Jack deserves more than 1%. You gave him 0.5%. That's what we ended up on.
I don't even think he deserves that 0.5%. But we. So here's the thing: Samurai Jack is fast and athletic and strong. Like that's his stuff. He's just a good ninja boy. The Powerpuff Girls are also fast and athletic and strong, but to like a much dumber degree. Like there's a different order of magnitude.
Yeah, they are kind of just like casually like unstoppable. I don't know. I think that one was.
And it's kind of their
actually,
shtick. I actually almost vetoed my own fighter in that episode.
Oh yeah.
Because I was just reading the power list and I'm like,
hey,
Oh.
you dropped.
I think I cut out for a while.
Oh,
I missed
sorry.
a lot.
Oh,
What? Hello?
this is awkward.
hello.
Hi.
Chris is still having problems because you're still home with your goddamn broken ankle.
Yeah, I'll be back next week. I switched over to my hotspot. So, what were you guys talking about?
We're talking about how the Powerpuff Girls were on a different order of magnitude.
Yeah, they're OP.
See, I pointed out that they could be easily fooled and that they were trapped by flypaper.
So I didn't see the flypaper episode, but I don't think fooling them even makes a difference based on the numbers that you're working with.
So I think you were saying that Samurai Jack doesn't have a final blow on them at all. I think it's considered him winning if he like incapacitates them. So if he happens to trap them in flypaper, then he wins.
But he's gotta get all 3.
Yeah, but like
it's so unlikely, and then he's gotta get all 3, and you just multiply these 1% numbers together until you're at like no percents.
like most Powerpuff Girl episodes, considering how powerful they are, they should just be able to beat the bad guy right away, but they don't. It takes them the whole episode. So they're like arguing with each other, like doing other stuff. They're really immature. They're not strategic at all. Whereas Samurai Jack is super strategic from the very beginning. He knows exactly what he's going to do.
And then he still almost loses because he's weak as shit, and he isn't able to lift mountains and go at light speed.
Dear listener, this is a view into my life, because without fail, the day after we record a fight episode, probably around like it's usually like either a little before lunch or a little after lunch, in our Google Hangouts chat, one of them will start this exact argument every single time. And this is what I go through the day after recording every single time.
It did happen on the very first one we did too with my Count Chocula.
Yep. Every single time. It's great. Without fail. It's so funny.
I'm just saying that Samurai Jack has more than a 1%. 1% is very small.
It's too big. It's too big if you ask me.
I would give him like 10%.
That's way too
I'm trying to make you
high.
retroactively change your
Yeah, we're
opinion.
going to go back into the editing and just upload a new version. Is that one already out? Or can we still change it before?
I think tricking them and getting all 3 at the same time are both 1% chances. So you are at fucking 0.01%. So enjoy that.
All right.
I disagree with that.
I disagree with that. The Absurd Hypothetical Story, Part 2.
All right, next question on our list here. Let's blow through it. What if Pokemon were real?
This one I actually want to bring up, not really related to this question specifically. I always have trouble with things where we have to assume cultural knowledge on the part of the listener.
It is tricky.
I think Pokemon is fine. There have been times where I've been
common enough.
Yeah, less cool with it. I think also it helps that like I feel like our demographic is very much people who played Pokemon. Like I think it's a pretty safe assumption. But there are definitely in times where I feel like less cool about like assuming some large amount of cultural knowledge on the listener's part, you know.
I'm trying to remember if we actually pulled the trigger and did one like that.
We did one.
Cut a bunch.
We did one. The one that I was kind of weird on. There was one. Hold on, let me go to the question list really quickly.
I mean, the Cartoon Network one, or Cartoon Network fight one, was kind of on the edge. Like, we don't know.
That was on the edge, yeah. I mean, at least with that one, we did like go through we went through the powers. Oh, it was the Katamari one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Katamari
that
Dynasty.
one.
Katamari
Yeah.
one. That was the one I was thinking of. Where
I think we took a minute to explain. It's hard to explain, but I think we took a minute to explain what the Katamari
we
ball
did,
was.
but I think it's one of those things where like if you haven't heard of it before, I don't know how we could possibly explain it in a way that's going to actually make it make sense.
It would just
to you.
sound bizarre.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I remember we argued more about the episode title than the actual question itself.
Yes,
so we're
that
like,
is
we can do
true.
the question, but we were arguing about if the question should be what if you were a human Katamari ball.
Yeah, 'cause-
which for those of you who don't know is a Japanese video game where the concept is you are pushing around a ball, and the ball will pick up anything smaller than it and thereby grow bigger.
Yeah.
So you pick up little things, and then once you pick up all the little things, now you're medium sized, and you pick up the medium things, and suddenly you go from like being on a tabletop to like sucking up a house just by the virtue of being able to pick up small things.
It was like the Flash game with the fish eating the smaller fish and getting bigger.
Yeah. So it's just like there are things like that where it's a little bit more of a niche thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one that we really kind of like hit a near issue. Like there was kind
That's
of
probably
like,
the purest example of what
that's
you're
what I can
talking
think
about.
of. Because like the difference there is, you know, with the Cartoon Network one, part of the episode was us literally explaining what each person did. You know, like it's less of an issue there because we do as part of it go through what they do.
Right.
With the Katamari one, it's a little more, you know, of an assumption. So Pokemon was kind of in between them. I think it was definitely cool because Pokemon are just like fucked up animals, so you
Yeah.
can kind of figure it out from context.
This question made me hate the new generations of the game so much.
Oh no, I was already there. Don't worry.
And not because like I think they're bad, because I played a bunch of Pokemon in my life. I'm maybe 1 or 2 generations behind. I don't remember, but My thing was I was trying to find holes in this ecosystem of like what if all the animals were replaced with Pokemon, what would break down? And every time I thought I had it and I had my answer and I would be able to just like chain from there into the rest of the question, like a 7th gen Pokemon that was just introduced would fuck me up.
I mean, they
Yeah.
have so many Pokemon that because they usually base a Pokemon on like a base animal, and they've run out of animals, so they started doing like chandeliers.
Or like bags of trash.
Yeah, so like one of the one that got me, it was like was Pidgey, which is the bird Pokemon, who's very, very small. And what was I thought I had was that Pidgey, who is a very abundant, who get fucked over the most by this ecosystem. All the bug Pokemon were either poisonous or bigger than it, or like the same size of it, so it wouldn't be able to eat them. But then it was like literally the last generation introduced like some dumbass bee or fly or whatever that was like the exact size for Pidgey to eat. And it like filled and just like it happened like 2 or 3 times in different sections of the food chain. I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, stop filling out the gaps.
It's didn't you said that Beedrill was like super small, right?
I know Beedrill's pretty
I think
dang
it's smaller
big.
than you expect it to be, but still big enough.
Because I expected it to be like human size, almost. Or not human size, but like Pikachu size.
No, it's about 3 feet tall. It's like 3 feet tall. There are some. I still laugh so much at Machamp, who is like 5'6" or something, 5'3".
Yeah, and he looks like a 6'8".
Yeah,
just,
you
like,
expect to be
buff dude with 4
6,
arms.
7, 8 feet tall, but he's like 5'3". Which that one actually came up because he's shown in the Detective Pikachu trailer at like that size, and he's just adorable.
Man, that Detective Pikachu movie is going to be weird.
I'm cautiously optimistic, actually.
I'm actually more than optimistic. I think it's going to be good.
I'm
just surprised that it even got made.
That is a surprising in and of itself. The fact that they committed to live action for it too.
And that Ryan Reynolds is voicing him.
So the best thing about Ryan Reynolds voicing him is that there is guaranteed to be a joke about it in Deadpool 3.
I thought it was confirmed already. I saw a meme about it. I thought it was just.
I don't know if it's
already.
actually confirmed or if people are just assuming it, but like, there's no way there's not a joke about that in Deadpool 3.
It's just the cold open of the next one is just like, yo, girl, let me get a Pikachu.
People were talking about now that Fox is owned by Marvel, how great it would be if the like post-credit scene of Avengers Endgame was just Deadpool like wandering into the scene and being like, "Hey guys, what did I miss?"
But we got one last question here. What if country borders were uncrossable?
And this episode just came out this past week.
And this episode was just recorded this past hour
Like,
before
A
this.
few minutes ago.
Yeah.
This one was hard.
Yeah, it was actually surprisingly hard.
I thought there was gonna be so many things to do with like this weird invisible physics breaking barrier with people, but everything I wanted to use to break the barrier didn't work out because only people interact with it, which makes things very either sacrificial or unhelpful.
I was actually surprised at how relatively simple getting shipping to work was.
What I wanted to do was I really wanted to explore the space on top of the countries.
Mm-hmm.
Like at that so the idea is country borders were uncrossable. So if you were on top of the country at some point in the air, there'd be the top border because after a certain height it's space and it's no longer the country. So I was hoping there was going to be like a way to do nomadic tribes that would live in the sky on top of countries.
But you can't have like a tent up there, right? Because like it'll just fall through.
Yeah, so you have to like figure out how to do that. And I was interested in doing that. But the problem was that border was so high up that it's
Unlivable anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 20 miles, so it's like 100,000 feet or whatever. And so I was looking about how like high altitudes people could live at. So it's like at over 8,000 feet is like the tallest mountains and like the most extreme survivors for long term. And then anything above 26,000 feet is just called the death zone.
Thanks, science. Love you.
So I want to be 4 times as high as that. So I'm not really getting anywhere. I also remember from when I was finding out if you could ride pterodactyl, after a certain point, your body's reaction to the altitude is just to go comatose. So really just all unhelpful things all around.
Yeah, it's not great.
So that was one sad. I was sad I didn't get to explore that idea.
I was surprised we didn't realize that this was very similar to our lightning round question until like the last minute.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we did...
Did we talk about that on the episode or before
I think
the
it was
episode?
before. So we realized there was one that we did where it was... I think it was just like if your significant other couldn't be on the same continent as you.
Or in the same country or whatever it was.
I'm pretty sure it was actually continent. because we talked about like I think it was actually continent.
We
not
can
country.
look at it in the list.
Oh, we could. I used to have it open and closed it. I could like Control Shift T this thing and nope, that's just a picture of Machoke. Okay, I got it. Cool.
It's continent.
It's continent. There we go. Yeah, yeah. So it was really fun that we did have, one that was somewhat similar that already came up, but
Well, I think the reason it came back twice because this was one of the very first questions that made it onto our candidates list.
oh yeah.
Because we were making I was making a joke because Shanta had just
Oh yeah, she just had to go back to Trinidad. Yeah.
Yeah, so she had to just go back to Trinidad. So we're joking about
That's
and your
Ben's fiance.
Yes. Yeah.
long-term. Not long-term.
Long distance.
Yes, long-term,
yes,
but long
long-term,
distance. Long distance is the word that applies to the sentence.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, what if everyone had to deal with this shitty long-distance relationship? And so that was the birth of the no border crossing question. And Ben was like very opposed to it at first for some reason.
Right. Yeah.
For some reason, Ben didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so after like 30 episodes, Ben, I'm not sure if he forgot or just got over that it was me making fun of him, and we kind of got on the main list.
I think we just dropped it. I mean, I think it was cool with it doing it as a lightning round thing. I think it was the big thing.
Yeah, but now we've done it as the main question, so it only took 44.
You got
what
there.
Is it behind? Yeah, 43 episodes to do
43 episodes.
I think I didn't actually realize that it was going to be like a real lightning round question until we answered it, because I thought you were just going to make a Ben joke and then move on. And then we actually answered it.
And yeah, our answers were entirely about boning because
Yeah.
that's the obvious one.
Once I realized the borders would just be a big bone zone, I couldn't get over it.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't cover that at all in our full border question, so that's good.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it being uncrossable kind of puts the damper on any
yeah,
physical
that's true.
activity.
Right. Oh god, and I will bring up here. So like the main reason that I was adamant about doing current geopolitical like situation is that if you don't, the big one is like Africa gets super messy because basically all countries in Africa are a creation of like colonization, and that's mostly true with like basically everywhere that's not mainland Europe and like East Asia. So it gets kind of hairy politically.
Yeah, plus that would involve me having knowledge of both history and geography, two of my weakest areas.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a reason I
Right.
do the ocean. It's because the ocean is just a big blob, and I don't have to worry about where it is exactly.
Marcus understands the ocean.
There's a reason we avoid history questions.
We should do more history questions. They're kind of fun.
The only thing that's tough about the history question is that the Wikipedia articles on history are so hit and miss.
That's really true, yeah.
That could also be my hesitance to read any block of text that is more than like 5 lines.
God, this show also sponsored by Wikipedia, seriously.
I
Jesus.
almost exclusively rely on Wikipedia.
It's a lot of it. I feel like I find things to research off of like random articles and shit, and then hit up Wikipedia hard after that.
Well, Wikipedia has the links that you can click to see where it's like referencing from.
That's true.
Anytime I can get a scientific paper on something, I'm super excited. And half the time it's just from like some student turning in a paper and it's like quote unquote published on the internet. But it makes me feel really legit when I'm like, oh no, a scientist said this.
It hasn't happened in a while. I always love when we do questions where the only like quote unquote scientific things I could find were like middle school science fair presentations.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was like the Jell-O.
Yeah, the Jell-O one's what I was just thinking of.
That is the most science, like high school science fair-esque topic ever is Jell-O. I think, and that's all the questions for the month, I think.
Yeah. Well, we cut some of them, but
Yeah, we had extra this time because we were still doing 2 questions in an episode for a lot of these, so
yeah.
we cut out.
Yeah, so this section will be a little bit shorter, or we'll go in more depth on each of them next month because there'll be slightly less questions because we're on our 2 questions in an episode streak. But we want to cover all the questions from the month because this is the questions from this month's section.
I guess technically last month's section, because we're in this episode's May and the questions were in April.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think as we end this behind the scenes thing, I just want to take a moment and just say thank you to everyone who's listening and everyone who is a patron to our show. Like, this thing, we started because it's really fun to do, but it's like now that we've been doing it for longer, it really is becoming like this more real thing. Like, it's a part of it's a part of my life. It's a part of my identity of what I do. And I just now I just can't imagine like not doing this every week and being able to one, legitimize it, but 2, have your support to do it is just incredible. I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
No, yeah, that's good. I feel like we don't like thank the audience enough, but it really does mean a lot. Anyone who,
It's probably like literally the first time we've thanked the audience.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, if you are actually listening to us, talk our bullshit for however long each week, we really do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun to do, but it's nice to actually, put it out there and everything. So thank you.
I just hope people like to be as much idiots as we are, like
right, exactly,
and
yeah,
listen, and go down these deep rabbit holes, because my brain just works this way. I can't help myself.
I think the show has been a really good opportunity to like learn tidbits, and I just hope our audience learns with us. It's a big learning experience, and we can all learn together.
That's right, everybody. You're just an excuse for Chris to harvest tidbits. And with that, we're off.
See you guys.